Kensho Satori, so a satori moment where you have an awakening, you go, oh my gosh. This is a very, very old bell, probably about 1,000-year-old bell that I'm going to ring here. And this just signifies, you know, wow. So at the end of the trip, you don't have to, but if you want to, this is in Russian, that we're going to let you ring this bell that's about 1,000 years old. If you want to, you don't have to. Have that satori moment, you just kind of think, wow, this is entirely different. But then everybody come up and do it. Great experience. This is at the Golden Temple. It's just a great, great experience to kind of see what this is all about. But we have 6 days to transform it. And we've learned lots of great words here. So, you know, we didn't talk about hujunka, which is a leveling, and that's on your thing as well. We talked about Kanban just a little bit, but we're going to get into all that. But there's so many dojo, soji, muda, mura, muri. There you go right there. Unevenness and burden. Kodawali, taking things to an extreme. Is that focused okay? Or could that be focused more? That okay?
That's a little better.
A little better? Okay. Okay. So life is Kaizen. Always, always improving everything. Continual learning. So my first book, 2 Second Lean, is 1.0, and then Banishing Sloppiness, that's why you're here. It's a whole other next level, this kind of thinking. So travel is a cure. So Mark Twain said, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one's little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. So it's very easy to come to Japan and maybe start judging and saying, why are the Japanese doing this? This is stupid. But I'm going to beseech you to think about what Mark Twain's saying here. Stand back, hold your judgments and criticisms, and just really think about what's going on here and where this culture has come from over the last 2,000 years and what they've been able to do. It will be amazing. So we've trained people from over 40 countries, from Burma, you name it, from islands in the South Pacific, Mexico, Australia. People have come from all over the world to the 2 Second Lean Japan experience and been transformed. I think we say our success rate is about 80% now. 20% of the people sometimes just don't get it, but we try to keep changing that equation as much as possible. So what's our goal? Banished sloppiness and love precision. And what's our theme? Leveling up. So you have the opportunity now in 6 days, 7 days here to see the gap between possibly where you are and where you should be, so you can level up. This is a concept that's very big in Japanese culture. Everyone's always leveling up. When you go to the schools, the kids know what the standard is, and they know they have to be at a certain standard, at a certain grade, and everyone's working to level up. The whole Japanese culture is looking to level up. So everybody is improving because this concept of leveling up, Kaizen, daily improvement, is burned into their minds. So when I first came here in 2000, this is me hiding in the back. Okay, so I was way in the back. I'm like, this crazy culture, these people are crazy. I was thinking all these thoughts. I wasn't like crazy about Japan when I first got here. What?
Your face is
Yeah, I'm completely cut off. So, but I came here and I said, there is something extraordinary going on. And I have never been the same since. So the correct attitude towards learning, do you remember? Karitsu, Kyotsuke, Onigaishimasu. Say it to me, Karitsu. Kyotsuke, Onigaishimasu. Karitsu, Kyotsuke, Onigaishimasu. Karitsu, Kyotsuke, Onigaishimasu. All right. Sit down. Okay. Do it one more time because we're going to practice.
Yep.
Let me just see how to go back on this one. There we go. You ready? Karitsu, Kyotsuke, Onigaishimasu. good. Team is doing well. Okay, so humble, be prepared to learn. If you come here cocky, you know, I have people who are billionaires sit in this audience all the time, running billion-dollar companies, go around in Rolls Royces with armed guards, and I've had everything in the world sit in this room. And if you come here cocky thinking you know it all, you're going to miss this. Best story I can tell you is Iden, who owns the BI Group, is a billionaire. It's a $2 billion company, goes around in a Rolls Royce, armed guard with him all the time, you know, whole security detail. I've been with him all over Kazakhstan, flies me all over Kazakhstan in jets and helicopters. I mean, we're talking the top level. And he comes to me, and in the last Japan study mission, he's been here twice with us. And the first time he was changed, but not completely. He was still the cocky hotshot who was ruling the world in the biggest construction company in Kazakhstan. And this last time he came to me and he said, Paul, I can't believe a 50-year-old man mind could be completely changed in 6 days. Think about that. A 50-year-old man with all his knowledge, all his success, everything he's done, in 6 days his mind totally changed. I just asked the leadership of the BI Group the other day, so how is the leadership changed since the last teams have been to Japan? I've trained 4 teams here. And he said on a scale of 1 to 10, they were a 1 in their leadership abilities, and they're an 8 now. That's how dramatic. Everything was top down, ordered, shut up, do what we say. Now it's step back, listen, what's really going on? How do we help the Gemba people? Complete transformation. It took 2 times. Don't be critical. This is some of the best advice I ever got from my sensei, Brad, when I first came here. He said, Paul, I was raised in Japan. He was from South Africa, but he was a missionary here with his family. And he said, the Japanese do plenty of stupid things. They do stuff, I think to myself, God, why are they doing that? But the bottom line is they do so many things right, it's unbelievable. And if you become critical here, Paul, you're going to miss all the good stuff they're doing. So he says, don't be critical. And to this day, I'm not very critical. Occasionally I'll go like, why are they doing that, mommy? But for the most part, I'm like, wow, crazy. Okay, big eyes, big ears. God gave you 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion, particularly in your organization. When you walk onto the Gemba, you should be asking questions and listening. Okay, so, and when we go to the grocery stores, when we go places, this is what happens to me. I'm in this grocery store. The OK grocery store operates similar to this, not exactly. You should go in there and check it out. It's pretty amazing.
Now, a great concept I learned from Richio Shingo is if you want to be a good leader, you have to have big ears and big eyes to observe what's going on. When I walked into this grocery store in Japan, I had big ears and big eyes because it had big aisles, super great visual controls. When I went to the produce section, great standardization on all the labeling, really well lit, everything was crystal clear. But what blew me away is when it came to check out, that's where I saw signs of the Toyota production system. So you pull your cart up, she transfers your items from one cart to the next cart and checks all your items. Then she grabs your cart, pushes you up to another mid-level station where you pay. She doesn't have to assist you, you're on your own at this point. Then after you pay, you move forward 1 more station and you pack all your goods. What this does is it allows freedom and flow throughout the grocery store. There's never a bottleneck in any one place because they have multiple stations that you can move to depending upon where the bottleneck is. It is absolutely fantastic. They have all.
What is she doing by not having to make this person pay with her and move that person up to one of these places? What is she doing? Reducing waste of waiting, reducing the burden on herself, right? You see this burden thing, and all of a sudden become very clear what's going on. Reduce the burden, reduce the variation, all these big bottlenecks of people.
Pulling to the end.
What?
Pulling to the end.
Yeah, pulling to the end.
Going first,
On lights that show you the different levels
Look how
of
small
constraint
these are.
in each area. It was so clear. so incredibly effective.
So
it blew me
think
away.
about North
So-
America right now. Think about our checkout stands. What are they? These giant conveyor systems. Look at these. Little tiny stations. Boom, 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 flow. Completely different way of thinking about everything.
So this is interesting because, I mean, the old way would be like kind of like a cell, right? You have one worker doing
Mm-hmm.
all the steps, right? But here they're breaking it out, so it's kind of like counter to what you might think. Like
So-
we think cells, we think lean, but here they
Nathan,
broke it out.
great point. So here is the point. The Toyota production system is a flexible system. So we love cell manufacturing. You go, bop, 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 and you're going to see it in plenty of places. And there are many times that is the most effective way. But sometimes breaking the cell up is more effective too. So don't get rigid like you have to do one-piece flow. Sometimes two-piece flow is better than one-piece flow. Sometimes four-piece flow. Most of the time, it's one-piece flow. Most of the time, it's a cell. But sometimes, it's not. Okay, remain flexible.
You know the drill. Have big ears and big eyes and observe all the fantastic things that are going on around you. And if you go to Japan, it's going to be everywhere.
Okay, notes, we went over that. You've got a great system now and no excuses. So after World War II, you saw the movie last night. This is what Tokyo looked like. This is what Hiroshima looked like. It was level. Starving, tens of millions of people. It was a mess. Okay, and today you look outside and you see the most advanced civilization in the world. How did that happen? Okay, questions is what smart people do. The more questions you ask, the better. You've already asked a plethora of good questions, particularly in our opening session. I thought the engagement was extraordinary. Keep asking me anytime you want anything. It's what smart people do. Richio Shingo told me when he was in my facility, and I asked him, Richio, questions. He goes, why are questions so important? He says, because when you ask a question, you get to understand the thinking of the people you're working with. You have to understand what's going on in their brain, and you do that by asking questions. The better and more prolific you come at doing that, the more successful. Richio Shingo, former president of Toyota China and son of Shigeo Shingo, who together with Ono built the Toyota production system. So Ono primary was the builder, but he hired Shigeo Shingo, the top industrial engineer in Japan and one of the best in the world, to help him build the Toyota system, particularly single-minute exchange of die, which we're going to go over as we go through this. So who are the Japanese people? They're crazy. This is how their TV programs, how they get ready in the morning for school. They're Kaizens. So there's two sides to the Japanese people, what I've learned. There is the work side, like sometimes when I'm working with mommy, she's so like, and I'm like, chill out just a little, man. This is like, everything doesn't need to be so intense. So when you're in a work environment with them, it's like, game on. Where we're kind of a little more relaxed, hey, check my phone, do my thing, you know. They're not that way. When it's work, it is game on. But after work, you walk through the village with us in Asakusa, and you saw how they're jovial and fun. You go out to dinner with them, they're a riot. You go to a baseball game with them, they're a riot. There are two sides of them. There's a time to work and there's a time to play. And when they play hard and they have a ball.
You know, I've always heard that a Japanese baseball game, well, that's like the ultimate experience. And I went to one night, and it was a playoff between Korea and Japan, and the Japanese fans, they are freaking crazy. It is unbelievable. I had so much fun. Every player has a different song, and they sing the song when the players come up to bat. It is just the craziest thing ever. And then they have the beer girls, these girls run around with a keg on their back. Everything's just in time. They pour every glass of beer fresh with great foam. The stance of the girls is incredible for safety. And then they're just the cutest girls, and they're so much fun, and they're running all over the place, and they're dressed in all different outfits depending on what kind of beer they're selling. It's just a riot watching this whole thing, and they even get down on their knees. It's just crazy. And they're running up and down the stairs. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Japanese baseball game, boy, if you want to have fun, you got to go to this thing. And if you like different kinds of beer, there's a girl running with a keg everywhere, including Japanese vodka and lemonade, down on their knees, pouring it for you fresh, just in time, every time. I had the best time, and I got into it with the fans. We were hand slapping and singing and shouting and carrying on and hollering. It was more fun than I've ever had, man. It was just like going crazy here. I had my phone to the guy next to me and said, "You got to videotape me on this." Nippon. It was so much fun. They are a riot. At work, they're serious. When it comes to the ball game, they go freaking crazy. Go to Japan, go to a baseball game, and have some fun.
Crazy, but yet at work, look at them, man. We have one tiny little scratch in a part in a tier 1 supplier. Every supervisor comes from every department trying to figure out what in the world has gone wrong. They are game on, totally serious. Any defect, this is what the Japanese are doing. They're eliminating defects because defects create variation. Variation creates burden. Remember those 3 M's. This is what they're doing. They're obsessed with quality. The way they get to quality is through the elimination of defects. The second you make a problem, you create a defect, you create anything. Communication, the wrong information is given to someone. That is where the Muda stream goes crazy with variation and burden and overproduction and excess processing. Okay? Who are the Japanese people? Super conscientious. Look at it. Somebody
He's actually cleaning the products on
they're
the shelf.
dusting way inside. Come on. Who does this stuff, man? It's just crazy. But yet there's a time and a place. There's a time for work and there's a time to have fun. And they do them both famously and really well. And they're very humorous too. You have to get to know a Japanese person. Kelly, you could probably, Kelly, where's Kelly? Kelly, you know this probably because you live here. You have to get to know them, and after you get to know them, they can be very, very funny, and they're very interesting people. So the question was asked to Japanese researchers, are computers male or female? The answer came back from the women said they're male definitely because you realize that if you waited just a little bit longer, you could have got a better model. Okay? And the men said they're definitely female because every mistake you make is stored in their hard drive for future review. Okay? So Japanese are great. Who are the Japanese people? Richio Shingo, president of Toyota China, comes to my facility, sits on a plastic stool for 2 days with Nick, an 18-year-old who's running an injection molding machine to solve a problem. That's who the Japanese people are. Toyota top executive, son of Shigeo Shingo, sitting on a plastic stool in my facility, not being pampered, not getting beautiful lunches or being everyone going around. No, just take me to the where do you belong? Period. Got it?
Hi everyone, I want you to meet my good friend Richio Shingo, son of Shigeo Shingo. Now he is an amazing man full of wisdom that travels around the world dispensing his concepts and ideas to companies to help them grow and improve. And he especially loves to go to the Gemba. He loves to go to the shop floor. But during the daytime, he is a mild-mannered man with great wisdom. But at night, he hits the dance floor and it's the Shingo Shuffle, and baby, everybody gets into it because he is a rockin' machine.
We just lost it.
So make sure when you go out clubbing to look for Richio Shingo because he is a machine.
Oh gosh, so a little story you should know.
Question for you about the people working, dedicated to work. I was at the Fast Cup several times and I observed how the people work. And from my point of view, they are relaxed. Is that because they found or they're very efficient and they found the harmony in the work? That's why they relax. Of course.
Okay, so the question is, why are the people at FastCap relaxed?
Relax. Yeah.
They don't seem uptight at all.
No.
No, they're not.
No.
Well, the reason why is the simplest answer in the whole world: because of great processes. Yeah, there's great everywhere in FastCap. There's great processes. So when you go to make a coffee, the coffee's where it should be, and there's nobody's forgot to refill it because there's Kanban systems. When you go to a process, there's clear visuals on how to make the product. There's a QR code that you can scan and watch a video. When you go to get a paper clip, we haven't run out of paper clips. When you go to do anything, we have thousands of processes that have been Kaizen. That makes people chill. And if you're not up and down, you know, you can just work evenly. There's no variation, no waste, no burden. Make sense?
Absolutely.
That's what
You said it yesterday. You said you're not going to be checking your phone all the time because your life is under control.
Completely.
With the process comes control. Which
Completely.
leads to
Yeah,
the
exactly.
workforce that can be relaxed.
You're not going to see me checking my phone. If I look at my phone, it's because I'm taking a note about something here. I am not even thinking about all the hundreds of things that are coming at me because I know everything's going to be taken care of perfectly. Not worried about it at all. You know, I'm doing all this and I'm writing a book at the same time. Traveling all over the world, writing a book at the same time. No problem. I went home last night. I didn't stay out late. I'm not a partier at all. And I went home and opened my phone and looked at my to-do, my capture list, took care of the things that Mommy asked me to do. I needed to get the slide presentation done. I went through and reviewed all the slide presentations that I was doing this morning to make sure I was up to date on everything. I took care of the details because it was written down and captured. I don't have to worry about anything. And I also looked at a few of my messages from last night. I looked at the critical ones. I immediately put them in my capture list, told me exactly what I needed to do. I'll read them off to you. I'll show you a couple that I did so you understand how I work and how I think. So Pablo sent me something from Argentina, put his book and quote in Lean Maniacs. It's on the Signal chat, so I know where to look. And then add pictures of the slide of ringing the bell from Russian presentation. I'll click that off right now. That was completed. Bernard, it's addictive. It's a good thing everywhere. Evidence of change. That's why I'm so addicted. I'll add that to the book. So I don't have to worry about anything. I know exactly where he sent me, what chat, whether or not it was in WhatsApp or Signal. I'm not like, oh, where did Bernard say that? It says it was in Signal, it was in WhatsApp, everything. So when I get my free time, go to my list, crank the things out, increase productivity, get more done in that 24-hour period that I have. That's how I work. Simple. Good system. Okay? So, who are the Japanese people? This is my favorite video of all in terms of who the Japanese people are. This is Ron. He works for Toyota. He's Canadian. He's been in Japan for over 20 years. And after he gave us a lecture at Toyota City, at Toyota headquarters, I walked up to him and I said, Rod, who are the Japanese? What's your favorite thing about Toyota? What's your favorite thing about Japan? His response is profound.
Ron, my question for you is, what are your 3 favorite things about living in Japan and 3 favorite things working for Toyota?
They're probably almost the same. My
Okay.
3 favorite things about living in Japan are that the Japanese people are so conscientious. And conscientious means not only that you do your best, but you're aware of what are the standards around you, either in your competing businesses or around the world. And you always keep trying to rise yourself up to that
Level
standard.
up.
That's something I love about Japan. Number 2, we have a real sense for the customer. We have an expression, omotenashi, which means that a spirit of hospitality. Everything that we should do should reflect that spirit of hospitality.
I feel that.
And number 3, this is a wonderfully innovative place, even though we're tradition bound. So you're here every day, as I am here in Japan every day, and I'm feeling the traditions and I'm supported by the tradition. But at the same time, these people have space somewhere in their heart to innovate. You know, one of the most famous expressions when you watch a commercial is, it's a new product. That's all you ever hear is, it's a new product. So how they combine both tradition and innovation is one of the great things about Toyota and Japan.
What a fantastic answer. I didn't expect that. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Conscientious, omotenashi, and innovation. So you walk into big camera. We're going to show you some of these electronic stores. You walk in there, you'll have over 100 hair dryers, over 100 curling irons, over 300 different kinds of AirPods. They are innovating everybody to death. Nobody can even come close to the innovation. You'll go to the camera section, you'll see a sea of cameras. You'll never go any store in the world where you'll see the level of selection. You want toothpaste, there'll be 50 choices of toothpaste. You want beer, there'll be 100 different kinds of beers. The innovation and attention to detail and nuance to everything in the Japanese culture is unbelievable because they're very sensitive. They have trained their 5 senses, their hearing, their smell, their taste, their sight, and their touch to this super high level, and the rest of us they're muted and they're dull. We don't even understand. And so as a result of that, they're able to innovate and see nuances that we can't see.
How do you contrast the idea of no variation and 50 hair dryers?
I know.
Well,
that seems like a burden to me.
Totally. I would agree with you completely. If I was running the store, I'd choose the top 3, and that's it.
Yeah.
But this is what the Japanese public demands, and again, I want to back up on this whole thing. The 3Ms are very clearly understood at a high level at Toyota. Okay, they understand what's going on in the whole waste value. So they're not offering you a car with 30 different kinds of tires and 50 different kinds of leather. You know, there are 3 different kinds of leather, 3 different kinds of carpet, and you know what I mean?
Sure.
8 colors and stuff. So they understand that. And in the Japanese systems, the way the subway runs, the way the airports run and everything, there isn't this crazy variation. But for the general level consumer, it's what they want and it's what they do, and they manage it. I don't know how they manage it, but here's how they manage it. Because their management systems are so good and their processes are so good, they can manage 100 hair dryers, and we would struggle with managing 3. Did that answer your question? Their processes are so good, they can manage what to us seems daunting.
And every Tuesday at every convenience store, have
A new product.
every week, Tuesday. So today is Tuesday.
There's
So-
some new product in
some new
7-Eleven, Lawson's,
Yeah.
or Family Mart.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Does that
how
mean one
it
goes
is.
away?
Yeah, one must go away, yeah. One goes away, Mommy?
Yeah.
Yeah, one would have to go
And you
away.
know, like a little puff cream, little cake. Every week you have something different flavor, different design.
So
Yeah.
let's contrast what's going on. So you would think a trip like this, I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but there would be many people management behind this trip in terms of, you know, collecting money, chasing. There's no one. It's just Mommy and I do everything. Every detail we take care of. And so the Japanese have learned how to manage great complexity very eloquently, in my opinion. Did that answer your question, Taylor, a little bit? Okay. Yes.
You know, I noticed yesterday when I was walking around, several stores would say they would rank their products based on most popular to least popular.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
good.
This is our most popular #1 item, number 2, number 3, number 4. I actually happened to walk in a jewelry store and they said this is our, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, well, point that out to me if we're around it again, because that is really cool. I've never seen that before, and that's the beautiful thing about Japan. There's always something new.
So whether they label it or not, they obviously they know.
Yeah.
And so the last
Right.
one is going away, and they're going to bring in try something new.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'm up in Hokkaido, and this company in Hokkaido, where Mommy is from, a big farming community, developed this unbelievable system that is karakuri, which means automation without power. So they've developed a way to plant things without using power. So we would have a big machine, we'd have a $100,000 planting machine. They do it all with a simple system. This is the way they think. Precision. So first you have to go all the way upstream. How are you planting? How are you developing the seedling? Well, let's make a precision little paper thing. And now let's put a tray so only one seed, there's no ways, no variation falls in exactly every spot. Alright? And then we're going to put this little paper thing on this thing that we're going to pull with no motor.
This tool is major game changer on our farm. It's turning an hour of work into minutes.
Glad you're shaking your head, Trevor. You're shaking your head.
I plant about 60 beds of Salanova lettuce a year. That's the exact same as this one. And it takes us an hour each bed. If I make that 7 minutes of that same amount of beds, so I'm saving 53 hours a year, a season, on that one crop.
Everybody gets the same 24 hours. You get the same 24 hours. Why do I get done what I get done? Because I'm Kaizening everything I do every day. Okay? This is the way the Japanese think, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And soji, we talked about that. Very typical to see this in Japan. This is Tokyo. I'm walking down the street, and I see all these women walking around with brooms, cleaning up. Remember I said they see in super high detail? They're looking at the littlest little things that everyone else in the world would walk by and wouldn't even pay attention to. But they're seeing it. Oh, no. This is just natural community stuff. This is the way the Japanese think.
So the third.
Absolutely. I do it. I do it because of what I've learned here. I pick up trash. I go to the bathroom. I clean the mirror. I wipe up. I bend down, pick up the toilet paper that's on the floor in the bathroom. In the plane. I do it because of what I learned here. This is this deep respect. When I walk into a public bathroom, this is exactly what I'm thinking. How am I lucky enough that somebody has graciously provided a toilet for me to be civilized in? The least I can do is leave it better than I found it. This is what I think. I don't think to myself, oh man, this dirty bathroom, these people don't know how to clean their bathroom. How lucky am I that somebody provided for me at their expense a place so I can use the bathroom? What is coming out of my heart is gratitude to get down in soji.
Was like this prior to the Second World War, or this has been only in the last 80 years?
No, I think soji has been a part of the Japanese culture forever and ever.
Since 7th century.
Yes, in 7th century. But you must understand that if you came to Tokyo in the 60s, it was filthy. If you came to Tokyo in the 70s, it was very dirty. It was not the way it is today. They were emerging and learning, and they saw the way the West was doing things, and they kept adopting. But of course, they're Japanese, so they Kaizen everything, and they Kodawari everything, so they took it to a whole different level. So it's naturally in their culture to clean. But you know, they have lots of problems, like we have problems, and they emerge. You saw, I took you in the subway last night. You saw what it used to look like. They kept leveling up until now they're the target that everybody else is trying to get to. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, and so I tell people this story, and it's crazy. I say, I have literally seen gardeners with a pair of tweezers picking a weed out of the grass, and they're looking at me, you're lying to me. We left this conference room, we walked over there, and I took this picture, and there was a gardener with a tweezer pulling a weed out of the grass.
But I think the most important, it was on that.
You were there. You were there. So
He was so embarrassed that we stopped to give him attention.
That's right.
Like,
You were there on that.
Mortified. Like, why are you even getting? Like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed
This
to
is
do.
normal.
Why is this?
Conscientious. What are the Japanese people? They're conscientious. Omotenashi, a real sense of the customer. And it's a new product, incredibly innovative. You see what I've jacked up about Japan? You know, when you take these principles home, it's over with. You know, my people see all these little details not because they're Americans, because I train them to see it. My people see all these little details, all of that. If you saw some of the videos of the improvements at my company, your mind would just like, I should put a couple in here. You just like, it can't be that they're thinking about every last little detail. Why? Because we trained them. Why? We trained them. They're not Japanese, they're Americans. We trained them.
Last time, brought back leave it better than you found it.
Right.
Stuff with me. So when I go to the grocery store, I always grab a buggy out in the parking lot.
Right.
And
Beautiful.
we were in the grocery store the other day, and you got little, young kids up there supposed to bag your groceries, and this guy's standing there playing on his phone and couldn't get back to his phone quick enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was so pissed. And here I am, leave it better than you found it, and this guy, they're supposed to bring groceries up to your car. Yeah, and it's like, how do you change the culture?
Well,
and you get what you tolerate. And that sticks in my head from Dave. But
here's the answer to Ron's question. How do you change the culture? Every human being in this room has a sphere of influence, okay? Cameron has a sphere of influence at school. He has a group of 5 or 6 friends. If he starts changing his behavior, their behavior will change. If their behavior changes, then more people's behavior will change. You don't try to boil the ocean, and you don't try to say, get on a soapbox and yell and scream. You change yourself. That's all I did. I changed myself. I posted some videos on YouTube, and you're here. Change yourself. Change the way you do it. Okay, omotenashi, a real sense of the customer.
One of my favorite things about Japan is omotenashi, a real sense of the customer. Here I am taking off on a plane, and the ground crew is waving at the plane. This is very common. You leave a major company, and the president and general manager and everybody stands out and waves at you.
We have a real sense for the customer. We have an expression, omotenashi, which means that a spirit of hospitality.
So you're waving goodbye at the end of a factory tour or getting in a taxi cab and the door automatically opens. And the same taxi cab has all the charging cables for whatever phone you might have. Or you're in a public restroom where every detail has been thought about, including if you're a child, to make sure the toilets are accommodating to you. And of course we express omotenashi back as we're leaving because we've learned this deep sense of respect for the customer. Omotenashi, it's just a beautiful custom that ingratiates your heart to be thankful for you. Omotenashi, subjugation of self in service to a guest.
Subjugation of self. Who are the Japanese people? I'm in a private Christian Japanese school where they're teaching Christianity. This is the nun, she's been here for 40 years, and I asked her, why Japan?
But it's just that it's so safe and it's so peaceful and it's a beautiful country. I've seen most of it. I like the people very much because they're good people. I tell people when I come back, I'm back.
Same thing I think. When I land back in Japan, I go, oh, wow, I'm back. The struggle's done. It's over with.
You do your best, you do your best, you do this every day, non-stop.
Who are the Japanese people?
Culture.
American, living here for 20 years.
Ganbarimasu, ganbarimasu, ganbarimasu.
2 things they teach in school to the kids. Ganbarimasu, I will do my best. It's on your thermos.
And it's, it's a great thing because it becomes true. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It comes true. The kids do it. They get it in their minds and they want to do it until they're old. I mean, it's like all through life. People feel that way. Then the next thing is yakusoku mamori, yakusoku mamori, yakusoku mamori. And for us, like we say, you keep your promise, you keep your promise, you keep your promise. But in Japan, it's much more specific than that. If you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. You have to do it. If you don't do it, other people will say, oh, that person doesn't keep his or her promise. So those 2 things are enough to change American culture. If you could get those 2 things in kids' minds early on, it translates into the workplace. I teach company guys, I've taught company guys who are, they're very serious about their work, very serious about doing their best all the time. And so it's the standard. That's the baseline that they begin from when they go to school. And then after they go to school, when they go to the company, it's the baseline.
And everything's easy from there on out, once you've got those 2 basics down.
Desho, yeah.
Desho. That's correct. Desho, that's correct.
Isn't that right?
Who made the comment, hit everything with the simple stick? Okay, Will. Hit everything with the simple stick. This book is phenomenal. If you haven't read it, it's about Steve Jobs and Apple. And this is the simple stick. You want to know what's going on in Japan? These 2 things right there. Ganbarimasu, I will do my best. Yakusoku mamoru, I will keep my promise. What? Steve Jobs. Don't miss it. Insanely simple. So let me explain. I'll put this in context how important this is. What?
Dan.
Dan. It's Dan.
Daniel.
Dan is telling us here. So I took ski lessons in Japan, and I'm a decent skier. Been skiing my whole life. When you go to skiing in Japan, you can just forget it. Everyone's a better skier than you. They ski with perfect form. Everything about the Japanese when they ski is just like, it's like a ballet. Wow, wow. How does everyone ski? In America, you go there and, you know, there's a few good skiers and most people don't know what they're doing. They're sliding down the mountain. They're just, it's just not good, right? They just don't do it. But in Japan, everybody's a good skier. Why? Because of training. Because when you go to become a skier in Japan, you go and you enroll in lessons and you train and you train and you train for weeks. So you have a certain level of competency. So I took a ski lesson in Japan. And what do they say? What do you do? The instructor demonstrates, and then just before you go, what do you think you say? Ganbarimasu. That's what everyone says. They're about ready to take off. Ganbarimasu. It's beat into their brain in a very positive. So when you go to do something, ganbarimasu. You're thinking. If you're not even saying it out loud, you're thinking it. Ganbarimasu. It's what we teach in my company. So these are stuck in my brain. And Ron, I knew about ganbarimasu, but I didn't know about this one. Yakusoku mamoru. I will keep my promise. So if I say I'm going to be there at 7:05, I'm going to be there at 7:05. Not because I'm disciplined, Yakusoku mamoru, because I'm going to keep my promise. You're going to be able to rely on me. There's no variation. I'm not going to add burden to your life because of my meiwaku. You see how it's all tying together? You take these powerful concepts home, you imbue them into your organizations. It's not complicated, it's not difficult. Life-changing.
You are. So have you ever delayed Toyota's production? Have you ever had a problem where Toyota, you didn't meet their production schedule?
I believe the 10 or 15 years ago, we had heavy snow in Miharu area, and we had the risk to stop the Toyota line, and at that time we used the helicopter to deliver to them.
Very good, thank you.
So, Yakusoku Mamoru, I will keep my promise. So, I asked them if they stopped the Toyota production line. This is the name of the brake company, Mami-san?
Akebono Brake.
Akebono Brake. And so, I think 11 years ago there was a snowstorm, they hired a helicopter. So, reducing variation. There can't be any variation in the Toyota production system, otherwise you create burden, waste, and the Muda just goes crazy. So if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Okay, so these are all the people that I've learned from in the last 23 years. Richie Oshinga, we just lost him. Mr. Amazawa, he's going to be with us for a couple days here. Mr. Ishigaki, 41 years on the Land Cruiser line. Mr. Umamura, you're going to be with Mr. Umamura. He's amazing. We brought these two gentlemen to Ireland for the 2-Second Lean Global Summit. Mr. Mori on the Camry line. And Mr. Yoshino is probably going to be with us. He led the transformation at the Numi plant in California. So these three guys at the bottom are going to be with us. These are top Toyota leaders, and we're going to have a great exposure. So I always say to everyone so they understand, when I came to Toyota for the first 4 times, I never met any of these people. These people were never on our tours. You're going to be completely exposed to these guys all the time. It's very unusual to get that level of exposure. Okay? So general information about Japan. When you overlay it over the United States, you really see how small it is and how densely everything's piled in there because it's very mountainous. So they feed 127 million people usable farmland the size of West Virginia. So that's pretty remarkable what they're doing here. So you have to be very, very efficient. And Japan, 145,000 square miles compared to California, 172. Could you imagine putting 127 million people in California? California's already chaos. You go to Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, it's crazy. And yet they've got 4 times more people essentially in there, 3 times more people. It's just incredible. Okay, and this is very important. So I'm going to say this saying, never in human history, remember these words, never in human history has an economy grown From 1955 to 1975 grew by 435%. It's crazy. It's hard to even get your head around that. So never in human history has a conquering country rebuilt the country they conquered and made it their biggest competitor, their number one competitor, because that's what the United States did after World War II. Never happened in human history.
They were definitely busy.
Yeah, so you think about that. Romans conquered the Germans or the Germanics. They always took, robbed, pillaged, and just the opposite. Rebuilt the country and became their number one competitor. Okay? So in Japan, the stories are unbelievable. So 6,851 islands, and the main
do you remember?
Yeah, it's much more. So it's like 2 or 3 times more than that, right?
No, it was like 14,000.
14,000. So they recounted. There are actually 14,000 islands, not 6,800. So Hokkaido, this is where Mommy's from, a big farming area up here. We're on the island of Honshu down here, and Shikoku right here. This is where a big steel plant is for Kawada Industry. This is where they make their big steel beams for the bridges. In Kishu, where we used to run the tour, down in here, this is the home of Lexus. So Lexus came down there and started. So that just gives you a little overview, and you can see Korea's right here. And you can go from Japan over to Korea and never lose sight of land. There's that many islands. Okay, and this is where the red, I kind of scribbled it in there, this is where the high density population areas are because there's no other place to put people. And then Nagoya is 9 million, all of Tokyo approximately 135 million, so Nagoya is one of the largest cities. The second largest city is Osaka or
Osaka.
Osaka, and then Sapporo, and then Nagoya. Fukuoka.
Nagoya. So Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, Sapporo, and Fukuoka.
Okay, Sapporo's up here. Okay. Fukuoka, excuse me, down here. Is Tokyo here? But Tokyo's here.
Yeah.
Nagoya is here, right there, and then Osaka is right
Osaka
up,
is here.
right over here. Okay, so just kind of have a geographical layout. So this is Nagoya. We're going to go. Nagoya's right here, and then all this area in the outskirts. Kichiro, the son of Tsukichi Toyota, bought this big farmland, so he knew that Toyota was going to expand and become a big automaker to compete with Ford. And he bought this land out here. Now this is all Toyota City out in this area. Now. Okay, and Kishu, 12 million people, right down here. Nagoya being 9 million. Okay, so that gives you a little overview. And then I have been just literally everywhere in Japan. I've been to so many small cities and towns and even islands way off the coast up here. I've been to little islands up here. Really had the opportunity to see Japan in all of its glory from everywhere. So we're going to stop right here, and I'm going to let Mr. Yabe pick up. But this is Admiral Perry. This is the second pivot of Japan, when Japan went from a closed country for almost 250 years to an open country. They pivoted and learned Western practices and principles, and we're going to pick that up as we continue over these 6 days.